Is where most of the heavy impurities, the things that cannot be digested, that are poison to the system, collect, and that's why people get rectal cancer and colon cancer from these things. The sexual organs would show genetic damage. And where does radioactivity show up first in a mammal? In the milk. So then we got very interested in where these mutilations occurred, what time of year, which way was the wind blowing, and what was upwind from these locations. And we found in every single instance there was a nuclear site of some kind, a power plant, a weapons base, a weapons storage installation, weapons manufacturing plant, a testing area, missile stockpile, uranium mines, and tailing piles, waste disposal areas. In every single instance were upwind from these sites. From that, I deduce that whoever is doing it is trying to find out how much radiation has leaked into the atmosphere, the food chain, and the groundwater, and what is it doing to the living mammals in its path. The fact that they leave these carcasses laying out there is an act of terrorism. Literally. I mean, if you want to check for something in these animals, that's fine. But there's no reason why you couldn't take it somewhere else, chop it up, dispose of it, or eat it, or whatever. Why is it being left on the ground? That's an act of terrorism. It's done intentionally to scare people. Why? Maybe to create an alien threat from outer space. Maybe because aliens don't eat beef. Next slide, please. Sometimes these are seen in the sky over the areas where these things occur. Next. Sometimes it's these things with something going up and down from them. Next. Sometimes these things are found, they're being found all over England. One of the incredible things about the crop circles in England is they are literally a vestige of some kind. There's a book called The Father of Lies. In the back of that book, it gives an example of the cipher that the secret societies used in ancient times to communicate with their members so that people who were not initiates would not learn the secrets of the society. The symbols of their cipher match exactly the crop circles found in the ground in England. Now, this was by accident that I ran across this. There's a woman in California who lives in Victorville, who is a wonderful woman, discovered this. She had been looking at pictures of crop circles. She had the book, Father of Lies, and she was reading the book, and it struck her all at once. These are the same. And so she let us know, and we have verified it. They are exactly the same. Secret societies have a lot to do with what's going on, believe me. Next slide. Sometimes these things are seen. Next slide. Always they find this. Next. Then we got to wondering, gosh, all through history there's records of people and animals being found with the blood sucked out of them. Is this the source of the vampire legends? Back through history, we have found that there are accounts of animals and humans who have been mutilated in this classic manner. Next slide, please. This is some of the information a man by the name of Bill English has released. It is some of the exact information that I saw while I was in naval intelligence. He was working as while he was working in England at a national security agency, listening post really, and he saw the same documents there. Next slide. This is UFO observers' instruction from the Air Technical Intelligence Command, which tells you how to report UFOs at a time when the United States Air Force said they were not reporting UFOs, didn't care about UFOs, they didn't exist. Next. Next. These are all official Air Force forms. Next. 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 Now this is part of Air Force Regulation number 200-2 Alpha, unidentified flying objects, intelligence. Now, this is significant. The Air Force is not supposed to lie to us, but they were telling us, no, UFOs do not exist. We're not interested in UFOs. There is no evidence of UFOs, and anybody that says they say a UFO is crazy. We don't care about UFOs. Yet they have written a U.S. Air Force regulation called 200-2. And this says on the cover sheet, direct communication is authorized between ATIC and other Air Force activities in matters pertaining to UFO investigation. Specifically, the ATIC may call upon the commander of the 1127th Field Activity Group, Fort Belvoir, Virginia, to conduct further field investigations if review of the initial report indicates such a requirement. In this event, the headquarters, 1127th U.S. Air Force Field Activity Group, will prepare the final report by order of the Secretary of the Air Force, Thomas D. White, Chief of Staff. Next page. This tells how to report it, what forms to use, identifying information, weather and winds, comments of preparing officer, classification, time and date of sighting, manner of observation. Next. General information, releasing information. That's funny. Releasing information, it says under here. All information of releases concerning UFOs, regardless of origin or nature, will be released to the public or unofficial persons or organizations by the Office of Information Services Office of the Secretary of the Air Force. This includes replies to correspondence except congressional inquiries submitted direct to ATIC and other Air Force activities by private individuals. Exceptions. In response to local inquiries resulting from any UFO reported in the vicinity of an Air Force base, information regarding a sighting may be released to the press or the general public by the commander of the Air Force base concerned only if it has been positively identified as a familiar or known object. Next, please. And it goes on, but we just don't have the time. This is how to report one that moves around in the sky. Next. 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 People always ask me, why don't they just fly around the White House? Well, there's a UFO. This photograph was taken in the early 50s, and that's certainly the White House. Next slide. Those are not butterflies. The truth is, in the early 50s, there was extensive UFO activity in the immediate area of the White House on an almost nightly basis over a long period of time. It is in the headlines of the newspapers. Pilots were scrambled in their aircraft to go and get them out of the airspace around the White House because it's prohibited airspace. And every time they would scramble again in their planes, take off, the UFOs would disappear. The pilots would go back and land, the UFOs would come back. This kept happening night after night after night until the pilots got so disgusted and so frustrated they wouldn't even get in their planes anymore. Next slide. This is another, this is 200-2, Identified Flying Objects UFO. This is the rest of it. Go ahead, next. All Air Force regulations. Next. Okay, I told you earlier about implants. Let me show you where these implants are being found in human beings. They don't know who's putting them there. The people who are being abducted are telling us that they are alien extraterrestrial beings from outer space. They all tell the same story.